woman looking the way you do.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. And if you're back, then hello again. And if this is new, then hello, welcome. I hope you like the video. Please have a delve if you've never seen these videos before. I love books, and my channel is mainly books. This is books, songs and other magic. I'm a musician as well, so there's lots of song stuff on the channel as well, but it's mostly books. And this is a little thing that's been going around BookTube, which has been really awesome. I love talking about book covers, and I'm going to go to town a little bit on this one. You'll have to forgive me for that aspect of this video. So Ben from Grammaticus Books started this thread. He did an awesome video that was followed up by Richard from Vintage SF, and then Michael K. Vaughan did one, which is brilliant, and then Jeff's Cave of Cool Books. Jeff's Cave of Cool Books, I think that's what he did a really good one as well. And Jim from Mystery Mayhem did a really good one as well. So I'm doing one. So Ben started with his top 10 book covers. Most people have done top 10. Mike did top 20. I'm going to do a top 40. My excuse is I'm a musician, so it's all about the top 40. That's my excuse. In my defense, I've gone through about 500 books. I've got a rack of books that are mostly vintage science fiction, and there's at least 500 books over there. And I've just been looking in general and looking at the crime books as well. There's a couple of crime books in there, I think. There's a crime imprint I want to talk about, but it's mostly science fiction and fantasy, with a few exceptions. The one really important part of this is that we've been naming the illustrators, and because I'm talking about 40 books, and literally it will be an absolute mess if I looked up, well, it took me ages, it would take me ages if I looked up everyone as I'm doing it. So I'm going to put the name of the author, sorry, the name of the illustrator, put the name of the illustrator up on screen, and as we go along, because that will be a lot easier. But there are a couple of big hitters, so you'll notice those. But yeah, I'm going to start off with talking about book covers really quickly. I need to do this relatively quickly. It's going to be a giant video probably, I don't know. But I need to just very briefly say why book covers are so important. Then I'm going to talk about, what am I going to talk about? Dinosaurs. I'm going to talk about dinosaurs. And I'm going to talk about some boring covers. And controversially, I'm going to say something negative about one of the big hitters in science fiction covers. And I'm going to talk about my own books. And then I'm going to go through my top 40. That's the plan. So, to start off with, I wanted to show you this. I've talked about this book many times on the channel. It's a hugely formative book for me. It was the first book that I absolutely loved, that I read by myself, full pleasure, on my own recognizances. And I just loved it. And that cover takes me back to being a kid and reading this for the first time. If someone talks about Harry Harrison, or talked about Stainless Steel Rat, talked about Jim DeGriz, talked about Angelina, I wouldn't necessarily go back to my childhood. Seeing that cover takes me back to my childhood. I think it's a great cover anyway. But hopefully I've already put up the illustrator there. But covers are so important to ingrain the books in your mind, to give you a sense of the book, an aesthetic for the book. The aesthetics of science fiction were created by illustrations in the early days of the magazines, because you could do far more with an illustration than you could in those days on film. These days, obviously, you can do a lot more on film, but illustrations on covers are so important. And that's such a great one. The Sphere of Science Fiction have got great covers a lot of the time. So, having said that, let's talk about, I was also going to mention horror novels. Just very briefly, just a general point, that horror novels can have some striking covers sometimes, like Sean Hudson's Slugs, that's a great one, isn't it? And The Nameless by Ramsey Campbell, that's a really cool one as well. So you can get some really good images of people screaming, or weird creatures coming out of people. That's always a good shout. So dinosaurs. Okay, so there's a big trope, trend, plot device in science fiction of the lost world. So this idea that some travelers either go to another land where it's like prehistoric times, or they find a way in through the Earth's core or something, and there's dinosaurs, and everyone loves dinosaurs. This isn't Strictly Dinosaur, that is Strictly Dinosaurs. The people at Time Forgot, Edgar Rice Burroughs, is such a cool image there of cavemen and dinosaurs. And probably in those days they might not have realized that cavemen and dinosaurs didn't live at the same time. But I love that picture, and obviously we love dinosaurs. So I wanted to kind of give a shout out to those, that trend, until before we talk about the top 40. So this is another great one. They're not dinosaurs, they're lions, but it's a similar kind of thing where Edgar Rice Burroughs has created this world, and you got these people in. Well, you got like a cave woman, and you've got a guy clearly from the future with a ray gun with these lions. So that's a really cool picture. Love that. Love that. And then you've got some other people that have done that kind of dinosaur thing. I had another Edgar Rice Burroughs one with dinosaurs on it, but for some reason I haven't got it at hand. But yeah, these kind of make you think, oh, what's this about? And they make you want to buy them. So, dinosaurs, awesome. Right, let's talk about my books for a minute before we talk about boring books. So, book covers, not boring books, boring book covers. This is a handful of books that I've written. So these are self-published. These are my prose books. So my my short story book, 10 Tales of Transformation, is Ethel. And my first novel, Out Among the Ice Beacons, and my second novel, my last book, The Brown Yelp Gang, which has had a little bit of love recently, which I really appreciate. So I wanted to talk about this really quickly. I mean, I should do a longer video on how I created the covers, but just very briefly, I wanted to say that this was my first attempt to write a book. So I've got my friend, an old friend of mine who's a great illustrator and a great guy. Also, he was a drummer in my band for a long time as well. I asked him to create a cover, and I asked him to create the moment when Ethel Pinchworthy is abducted by aliens, and he created the design for the UFO, which is awesome. And he created Ethel, and she's I don't know how close you can see it, but you can see it, she's sort of going at when if you see it really close up. So 10 Tales of Transformation, I was really pleased with that cover. He actually did it initially with a whole row of houses, and I had to send him a message going, she lives in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, oh, okay. So that was quite fun. So 10 Tales of Transformation, my first book. I wanted to highlight the Ethel Pinchworthy story in the cover because I thought it'd be a fun one for the cover. And then when I did this one, it's set on an ice planet, and this image is exactly what I had in my head for the planet that these three boys end up on. And I knew that my friend did photography, and I had a look. I was just randomly looking at her photographs, and then she did these snowscape ones. She went out to the forest when it was snowing, and I sent her a message saying, "Oh, can I use one of your photos for a cover for the book?" And she said, "Yeah, no problem." That was really nice. So that is my friend's photography, and for me, it encapsulated the image of the planet that the boys end up on. And then this one is a very special thing because it's illustrated by a famous cartoonist, Hunt Emerson, and it's a humorous book with a kind of a farcical plot about musicians with a three-headed singer singing harmony with himself, and yeah, I mean, I just love that. I absolutely love it. And Lazy Riff has got a big part of the second cover that I've paid for the sequel. I haven't read the sequel. I haven't written the sequel yet, but Lazy Riff is kind of a big part of that. And then there's these three sirens that are on the cover as well. So I need to sort that out. But yeah, Hunt Emerson was the illustrator for that one. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with those covers. I do think it's really, really important to grab someone's attention and maybe give them a sense of the book for your book cover. Yeah, okay, so I want to make a point about science fiction, classic science fiction covers that you see all the time that are basically spacecrafts in space. So Colin Hay, Peter Elson, Tony Roberts, Chris Foss is the most famous one. And there's a guy called Chris Moore that I've got a bunch of Chris Simak books by him that have got quite simple designs. And they're not awful, but some of them, I mean, like something like that just looks really generic. And it's City. There are some fantastic covers of City with robots on them, because the whole book's about robots. So it's a bit weird that this like that. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of covers like that are just a spaceship in space. It doesn't tell you anything about the book. It's not got that sort of character. It has got a character, but it's not. It doesn't draw me in the same way. It's just like, oh yeah, science fiction. This one is like got no atmosphere at all. It's no atmosphere. Okay, and then this one here, that's a Colin Hay one, I think. So yeah, very very Chris Fossish, and yeah, sometimes I find them a little bit soulless, and sometimes the prose in the books are a little soulless as well, to be fair. Something that does have a lot of soul, but the cover is really boring, is that one. That's a more modern one, A Long Way to a Small Planet, Small Angry Planet. I think the cover is really, and all of them, the Wayfarer series have all got covers like that. And I think that's a design thing rather than illustration, which is a bit of a shame. So maybe there'll be new editions of that. And just want to talk about this book, Stephen King. Which book is it? Oh, can you see? It's The Dark Half. Oh my God, look how clever that is. That's not clever, that's irritating. You can't see what it says. The New English Library Stephen King books have got fantastic covers, a lot of them. This cover is ridiculous. The Dark Half. But there are some great ones, and really the best Stephen King covers, like the Christine one that I talked about when I read Christine. I've got one coming up. I just think they're so brilliant. So I think they're the best Stephen King ones. And I just want to talk about this, which is this imprint is Penguin, the new Penguin reissues that came out. Harry Harrison's Make Room, Make Room is one of them. There's a James Tittery Jr. one that came out. I had that handy. Warm Worlds and Otherwise, sorry. Warm Worlds and Otherwise. This imprint, these new reissues. It's a really interesting set of reissues, actually, because it included We, and it included Robert Sheckley's Dimension of Miracles as well, which is pretty cool, and another Robert Sheckley one as well, I'll mention in a minute. But these are really, that's boring covers, design thing. It's nice that they're all the same, but really boring. And then you compare that to an absolutely crazy cover I've got of Make Room, Make Room. What is that? I don't really like the cover, but I think it's much more interesting than that one. But yeah, what is that? That's really clashing with the light, isn't it? But yeah, it's just from one extreme to the other. Okay, so I'm almost at the top 40. So first, let me talk about the hard case crime books. So I've got loads now. I've got over 30. I can't remember exactly how many, but their covers are amazing. So you might get a sexy cover. A lot of them have got sexy covers, like this one, Cinnamon, Lawrence Block. Really good book, that one. Really, really good. Cinnamon. So you might get that. Might be a little bit sexy. It might be not that sexy, but although that's probably, you could probably describe that as sexy, maybe. The text of that book is very sexual because of the characters in it. Some explicit bits in that. But it might be just really cool, like imagery that just draws you in. I think that's really cool. I mean, I suppose it might be sexy if you're into legs, but yeah, there's that one. And then you got some really cool dramatic ones there, like the Colorado Kill. I love that image. It's such a great cover. And sometimes it's just like the collage thing they like doing. So yeah, there's loads going on there. Look, all sorts of action happening. So there's lots like that as well. A lot of the Nolan ones. I think it's Nolan. I think is the character's name. Quarry. I think it's some of the Quarry ones like that. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that because those are really awesome covers as well. Right, okay, so the top 40 book covers that I've picked. So I'm starting with this one because I've talked about it before, but what an incredible cover. What an absolutely fantastic cover. I would love to have this as a huge poster. It's such a brilliant cover. If anyone sees a t-shirt available with that cover, I'd love it. I'd love to have it. It's one of my favorite images of anything because I love the book so much anyway. So I Am Legend, fantastic cover. Again, I'll be putting the illustrators up as we go along. And this is my favorite copy of Mind Swap. I've got a few, but I love this cover. It's a completely mad book, and it's a very surreal, absurdist illustration on the front. And that's such a great book. Love it, love it, love it. Really funny. And I've got 4 copies to 4 different versions of that Mind Swap. And this is an amazing one. So this is Mike Resnick. I want to read this, but I can't read it until I've found the first 3 books in this series, and they're really expensive. So it's a bit of a pain. But it's called The Best Rootin' Tootin' Shooting Gunsling in the Whole Damn Galaxy. So for a start, it's a great title. But look at this absolutely brilliant cover. Look at that. Just makes you want to read it. It's clearly, there's some sort of circus thing going on. These are clearly aliens, and there's the greatest gunslinger in the whole damn galaxy. So yeah, if you've read any of these, let me know. Apparently the others are Sideshow, The 3-Legged Hooch Dancer, and The Wild Alien Tamer. I think they're all set in a circus by the sound of it. What a great cover though. Some more great covers. Isaac Asimov, Space Ranger. That's a great classic cover. New English Library. See, New English Library are really interesting with their covers. So that's a really cool one. It's one I haven't read yet. Really good condition, actually. Ooh. This I have read. I thought it was brilliant. Beyond Tomorrow. This is an anthology of short stories. And I just think it's a really striking cover. It's a very stylized face, but it just draws you in. And then just like I don't know, there's something about the pattern and the way that it's constructed. It's just really cool. So I have no idea why it's on there, what it's referring to. But Beyond Tomorrow, what a great cover that one is. I've got a few Simacs in here. This is the first one that's appeared. Special Deliverance. What a beautiful cover. It's some kind of waiter robot by the looks of it. But what a fantastic illustration. So there's that one. This, I absolutely love this. And Barclay Shaw, I can tell you now it's Barclay Shaw. And Barclay Shaw did this one. Yes, I thought so. I thought this was the same illustrator. So this is the one I'm pointing out. This is in the top 40. What a fantastic cover. I love this cover. Partners in Wonder. And that's Harlan Ellison. And this whole book is him collaborating with his friends. So they're all short stories written with other people. And that's the other person. What a fantastic idea for a cover. So just to kind of let you know, some of the collaborators are people like Robert Bloch, Avram Davidson, Samuel Delaney, Keith Laumer, Robert Sheckley, Robert Silverberg, Theodore Sturgeon, and Roger Zelazny. That's some of them, and others. But it's a great book, and it's a fantastic cover. I love it. And then this guy, Barclay Shaw, also did my favourite version of Spider Kiss as well. What a great cover this is, which is not strictly science fiction. It's when Harlan Ellison decided to write a story about a rock and roll singer. The original title was Rockabilly. But I love that cover as well. It's just it's so cool. So that's partly why I want to get all of the books I can from the Ace imprint. I've got quite a few, but I'm still looking for some of them. This is a great old one. Robert Silverberg, Recalled to Life. That has got so much going on. It's awesome, isn't it? It's quite a densely plotted cover. And it's an old Lancer Science Fiction Library edition. So this was a really good find as well. It's a blue block text block. Sorry, blue text block. It's very small. I need to read this. I keep wanting to read it. Put that aside. This is a great short story collection from Anne Dean Foster. With Friends Like These. Look at that. I love... How much was that? £4.50. That's not bad. Oh, no. Yeah, £4.25. Look at that great cover. Aliens eating together, eating ice cream by the looks of it. With Friends Like These. Awesome. I love that. Absolutely love that cover. I've pointed out this cover before. The Man in the Maze. What a brilliant cover from Robert Silverberg. I got a few in with the same sort of design, same font for the author. So I wanted to pick that one out in particular. I think that's a brilliant one. The Man in the Maze. This is another really cool Simak one. Project Pope. There's a robot praying in some kind of presumably religious gear. Maybe he's the Pope. I don't know. I haven't read this book yet, but that's a really cool one. I really like this version of The Man Who Fell to Earth. So I'm reading this with Big Al from Big Al's Hard Books and Classics very soon. But I really like that. It's just there's something about it. I just think it's a really cool illustration, and I was really pleased to see it. I think I saw this in America. Yeah, I think I found that in America. But yeah, how cool is that? I've always loved this version of Thorns by Robert Silverberg. Look at that. Awesome. Alien. Love that. Absolutely love that. I saw this book when I was a young kid, and I've bought it relatively recently, but the cover has always stayed in my head. Alan Dean Foster's Spellsinger. I just love that. It's the composition of it. You got this, presumably a wizard guy, taming the elements maybe, or doing something with his spells. It's the first book, and I've got the first. I think I might have all of the books in the Spellsinger series, so I want to read these. So this could be something I could read, maybe even buddy read with people next year. So if I've finished with that first trilogy from Robin Hobb, by then I'll read Spellsinger's books. This is a great Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter book. I've got another version of this, but when I saw this, I couldn't resist it. Look at this. Thuvia, Maid of Mars, and she's attacking someone. There's a proper fight going on. I just think that's really awesome. So this is a New English Library. Look at that. New English Library comes up trumps again. What a great cover. This is a really cool cover, and I was just so shocked to see this. I hadn't heard of the book when I saw it. Theodore Sturgeon's Caviar. It looks like those old Pan book of horror stories kind of look, doesn't it? So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, I think that's a great cover. It's clearly a photograph of something that had been created rather than an illustration, but I think it's great. So that's a short story collection. Another Anne Dean Foster. I just love what the alien looks like. The Howling Stories. Sorry, the Howling Stones. Read it properly, Gareth. The Howling Stones. I haven't read this yet, but I love that cover. I think it's awesome, and I just think it's a great alien design. Nice. Talking about Anne Dean Foster, I've got these. These are so cool. So I think I've picked one to make it 40. I picked one of these two, and I just thought I'd show the other one because they're kind of linked because clearly they're the same illustrator. So I think I don't know, they're both awesome. I'll just show you them. They're so cool. Glory Lane. There's so much going on in this illustration. It looks a bit like Jack Kirby, but his people, well, just it's not clearly not Jack Kirby. I haven't looked it up yet, but it looks a bit like his sort of style. That looks a bit more Jack Kirby, but I don't think it is. And then this is the other one. Oh, it looks like there's a signature there. How cool is that? So yeah, I love those books. So they were a great find as well. Death World 1. What a cover! That is another cover that I've always thought about, stayed in my mind. I had to re-buy the Death World books. I read these when I was a kid, and I re-bought them recently. and I had to have that cover. I just think it's so brilliant. Again, we love dinosaurs, don't we? That looks a little bit like a dinosaur, and it's a brilliant indication of the book, because the whole idea of the book is that he's landed on a planet that's really dangerous. So yeah, Death World 1, what a cover. This is a really interesting copy of the October Country. So I've got a few copies of the October Country, and I found this in Strand Bookshop in New York, and I had to buy it because I love the cover, even though I've already got copies of this. But it's awesome. Look at this. How cool is that? And the guy actually illustrates throughout the book as well, so it's not just the cover. But I love that. That's so brilliantly done. If you're into art and illustrators, then you'll probably really love that sort of stylized look. Joe Mugnani. There we go. Awesome. This is a really cool Brian Aldiss book that I found, The 80-Minute Hour, with this really cool cover there, with a man in some sort of pod floating about. Looks a bit like Joe Jackson. Is she really going out with him? Nice CJ Cherry one here, Serpent's Reach. Look at this, awesome. Look at that. It's like some sort of cave with this landscape behind it, and then a woman that's surrounded by these aliens. Yeah, it's just really cool. I love it. Serpent's Egg. My favourite version of A Princess of Mars. Look at that. It's actually indicative of the book as well. Well, kind of. It's not exactly how I saw it. That needs to be... Doesn't he have more limbs than that? I think he has more limbs than that. But it's just a great cover. I love it. So that's... is that New English Library again? New English Library. Another New English Library one. No, this is Foursquare, isn't it? Foursquare? No, it's New English Library. Robert Sheckley's Untouched by Human Hands. What a great cover. This is a really good book as well, that was reprinted into that boring version by Penguin. This probably, it could be his best science fiction short story collection. Don't know, big statement. Might be. Same Two Doubled is really good as well. But that's, how good is that picture? Love that cover. This is great. This is awesome. This is a collection of short stories. The Fantasy and Science Fiction 6th Series Anthology by Anthony Boucher, edited by Anthony Boucher. Look at this. You got these people fighting with a spaceship behind it and his mysterious eyes. Well, it's such a great cover. I love it. Okay, so Roger Zelazny, The Doors of His Face, The Lamps of His Mouth, and Other Stories. I love that image. It's just a really nice illustration. And it's kind of alien and exotic, but it's not sexy. It's just a really nice illustration. So I love that. So that's a Corgi one. This is an awesome Damon Knight cover. There's some really good ones out there for Damon Knight books. So this is Hell's Pavement. And I love the fact that you got this image of these people being controlled like marionettes with presumably these two minds, which is really cool. So Hell's Pavement, which is a fix-up novel with a reddish text block. So yeah, really nice book, that one. Avon Publishing. The Goblin Reservation, another Simak, The Goblin Reservation, but what a fantastic cover. I had to include this one. Look, it's mental. And it does refer to the book as well, which is really nice. So these are the characters in the book. So it's one of his more outlandish ones. But yeah, The Goblin Reservation, Simak. That's an old Corgi one again. There's some great Corgi books out there. This is fantastic. I had to get this. This is a Mayflower science fiction. Michael Moorcock, The Black Corridor. Look at that. I love that. He's clearly trying to escape from this black goo. And it's just such a striking cover. I love it. Michael Moorcock. So we're getting towards the end now because I've got some thematic stuff happening here. So where's the others? Oh, I picked it. Yeah, I was going to show loads here, but I wanted to talk about Thieves World. So this was the one I picked, Shadow of Sanctuary. It's a really cool image there of somebody about to assassinate. Someone's come out with a crossbow just for protection, but it's an assassin, so he's going to get him. So these books that are edited by Robert Asprin and are these sort of short stories based around this Thieves World. They're really good books. And I've got 4 of them, and 3 of them are this imprint. I've picked this one to show off the cover, but Tales from the Vulgar Unicorn, what a great title. And the original Thieves World, we've got great covers as well. But this 4th one's really good as well. You got some arm wrestling going on in a tavern. Classic moment there. 2 rangers, presumably. So, yeah, I love that. So that's the 4th Thieves World book there. And I wanted to mention Anne McCaffrey's what are they called? The Dragon Riders of Pern series. Because I think their covers are fantastic. And this is my favourite one, probably Dragon Drums. It's also the one I enjoyed the most. I've read 3 of them, but I'm going to reread them because I haven't read them in about 30 years. So I'm going to reread them soon. So it's something else I've got planned for late next year, hopefully. So Dragon Drums. But I love that cover. It's so cool. And I love her, not her, but whoever illustrated it, their dragon style, their dragon design. It's just awesome. So, yeah. Anne McCaffrey's Dragon books. Okay, this is a really cool Arthur Conan Doyle book that I found. And usually they're quite boring covers, I think. But this is such a cool one. So Arthur Conan Doyle's Tales of Terror and Mystery from Pan. Look at that. Such a great cover. Love it. So I thought at the time I had enough Sherlock Holmes stuff because I haven't read any yet. I haven't read any yet, but I've got a few Sherlock Holmes books, but I couldn't resist this one. What a fantastic cover. And then, right, the last few now. I had mentioned the New English Library Stephen King books, which are my favourite imprint of Stephen King. And this, I just love this cover. Night Shift. This is clearly the Children of the Corn story, but what a fantastic cover. And this was the first book I read by Stephen King as well. So it's a lot of sentimental value as well, but I just think it's a great cover. So there's that one. And I wanted to mention Tom Gould, because I like the way Tom Gould draws, and sometimes he does book covers. And he did a few Jose Saramago books. Seeing is a really interesting book about when he kind of hypothesizes an election when nobody votes and what happens when nobody votes. So kind of an interesting topic for nowadays. Jose Saramago, Seeing, but then there's this awesome one as well called The Double, and that's got really good covers. I really like the way Tom Gould draws. So that's a play. There's loads of books like that kind of doppelganger kind of story, and this is a really good one. So I like Jose Saramago a lot. Okay, so back to Harlan Ellison. This is non-fiction, The Glass Teat, and what a fantastic illustration. They've got all these things coming out of, well, it's kind of like this stuff here coming out of the typewriter. That's his rage, probably. And then you've got these creatures there. I just think it's so cool. Just a combination of lots of different things, and the TV there. It's just so good. So these are his essays about television. There's another one called The Other Glass Teat, which I'm trying to find the Ace version of that. So that's one of the few I haven't got now. But The Other Glass Teat. But that's The Glass Teat. This is very special because it's a Ray Bradbury book from The Dust Returns, but it's illustrated and cover illustrated by Charles Addams, my favourite cartoonist, a man that I've talked about a lot on my channel. And this is a version of this book, which I've already got, and a more boring version, illustrated by Charles Addams. Crazy, but they were friends. So, and this is a collection of the Elliot family stories. And the Elliot family stories were written as a tribute to his friend Charles Addams, because the Elliot family were slightly different, like the Addams family were. So, yeah, From the Dust Returned. What a great thing that Charles Addams drew that cover. How cool is that? So there's that. And I wanted to mention this book because I found this book in New York. I had to buy it. It's actually 1350. There's a great, he's a very well-known caricaturist, and I can't remember the name of the caricaturist. So that's a Harry Harrison caricature. But on the front, you got this awesome cover for the Technicolor Time Machine, and I just think it's really good. It reminds me of like I don't know, 50s Peter Sellers films or 60s Peter Sellers films. There's something like, I don't know, like After the Fox, that kind of thing. But the book is like that in a lot of ways. It's a very humorous book. But I've already got 2 copies of this already, but I couldn't resist it because of this awesome cover. So book covers can, like, you know, entice you into buying something you've already got. So yeah, Technicolor Time Machine, which is a really funny story. And then a couple of more contemporary ones. Lock-In. I really like this cover. So John Scalzi, I think this is probably my favourite John Scalzi book, actually. So it's a bit underrated, I think, but I just really like the design. It's more of a design than an illustration, this one, but I think this is great. And just to finish off, a mention and a shout out back to Ben, who started this entire thing, because he mentioned this book, and I love this book, but I really love the cover. Day Zero by Robert Cargill. See Robert Cargill. Day Zero with Pounce on the cover. And what's the boy called? Pounce and Ezra. That's right. Ezra is the boy that Pounce looks after as the robot apocalypse is happening. This is a prequel to Sea of Rust, which is a fantastic book. So yeah, really love that cover. It's so awesome. So there we are. Book covers. Aren't they amazing? Aren't they amazing? Thank you so much for watching. This is probably longer than I planned for it to be, but it was 40 books, and I talked about a bunch of others before that. Talked about my own books. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Please comment below on some of the ones that you liked, and if there's a book there you particularly liked, I'd love to hear about that as well, not just the cover. I could have included others. So everyone said, oh, 10 was so hard to pick. 40 was so hard to pick as well. But there we are. Thank you so much for watching, and stay curious, everybody.